Okey, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat sejahtera. Okay, so here is the chapter 1. I will start with my lecture for this semester with chapter 1 of PST221, Latex concentrate processing and testing. For chapter 1, I will start with the introduction of latex concentrate. What is latex concentrates? And I hope you enjoy these videos and learning via the slides and notes that I've been given to you. So by the end of this you should be able to learn and to define the natural rubber latex, to state and write the products of natural latex, to state and describe the concentration method of natural latex, to describe the manufacturing process of latex concentrate, to illustrate the working principle of certification process. I think certification process will go a bit detailed because this is the huge industry that been used in our country to produce a latex concentrate, and then to relate the properties of natural latex with the centrifuge parameters. Okay, so and finally to suggest how to maintain the cleanliness of latex concentrate factories. And again, I would like to mention the cleanliness of latex industry is very important because the hygiene and the cleanliness will reflect to the quality of latex and final products. So a bit of introductions. I think most of you already taken that PST104, and because of that, I will go through a bit fast or maybe not too detailed so that you won't contradict with previous code, which is PST104 that you taken last semester. Okay, the latex originally referred as the milky white substance occur in certain tree and plants. I think semua orang dah tahu macam mana rupa natural rubber latex. Okay, usually milky white in colors, and then natural rubber latex occur in the Hevia brasiliensis tree and guayule plant. Okay, although approximately 2,000 plants produce latex, more than 99% of the latex used in commercial application originate from Hevia brasiliensis. Okay, so in this situation, most of the plant produce their own latex. Okay, most of the plant produce their own latex. However, the products and household product that been manufactured and commonly you can see in our daily life is made from Hevia brasiliensis because of the quality and the production rates of Hevia brasiliensis is quite huge as compared to other types of plant. So I go a bit of the chemical structures of the natural rubber latex. It is a stereoregular polymer and consists essentially of cis-1 for polyisoprene. I think again and again I will keep mentions about the cis-1 for polyisoprene. Okay, although we have a trans-1 for polyisoprene, but commonly the majorities of the structure is cis-poly-1 for isoprene. And then it is derived from the monomer of 2-methyl butene 1,3-diene. So here is the chemical the monomers of the chemical structures, and with the polymerization it's come to produce the cis-1 for polyisoprene. I think most of you already memorized this. Last semester I keep question and keep test you about how to draw, how to identify the cis, trans and gutta-percha structures. Okay. So what is natural rubber latex actually? Natural rubber latex, or sometimes referred as Hevia latex, is a milky light liquid obtained derived from Hevia brasiliensis rubber tree by tapping and collecting the fluid that flow from the spiral cut made almost through the bark, but just short of the cambiums of the growing layer. Previously I did mention about how did you tap the rubber tree. You don't want to injure your Hevia brasiliensis or rubber tree, because as you tap your rubber too deep, it will start to wound, and the process of healing will cause the rubber trunks to swell, and it might effects on the production rates of your rubber latex. And then latex may be simply defined as the dispersion of polymeric material and essential aqueous medium. The polymer may be termed by dispersed, discontinuous, or internal phase of serum in the dispersion medium, continuous or external phase. I think this is more on revision. Most of you already know about the polymeric material aqueous medium, which is in this case we have a continuous phase known as a serum, and rubber particle as a dispersed phase. And the individual latex particle is not similar in size, but the size is vary between 1 to 2 micron meters. Okay, and the particles of rubber is surrounded by a layer of protein membrane, which is the membrane is negatively charged and will repel to each other. This makes the natural rubber latex remain in liquid forms. This is also the reason why I did mention lengthy last semester how the natural rubber latex can maintain its liquid form for few hours before it start to coagulate, because of the negatively charged start to protect the protein membrane, and then it start to repel from each other, so it will remain in liquid forms. Okay, this is structure of rubber molecule. Okay, this is the illustration I mentioned earlier, how the repulsion occur because of the rubber polymers being protected of the negatively layers of the membrane, and then because of two negatively charged membrane contact with each other, the negative and negatively charged will start to repulse, and it will protect from rubber polymer or rubber phase to agglomerate together. And the latex constitution, okay, although last semester or other codes did ask about the latex constitutions again and again, this is very important. I think most of the time I will ask this similar question, because this is the basics of the latex constitution, so you need to know why it is important to identify the latex constitution, and especially the percentage of each of the constitution in rubber latex, because we will do some of the experimental analysis, so that we need to identify the percentage of rubber phase and how to reduce the serums, and this process involve on identifications of the latex constitution percentage. Okay, basically the latex constitutions divided by four phases, which is the rubber phase, which contribute to 35% of the whole weights of the latex constitution. And then we have a serum divided by two, which is B serum and C serum. B and C serum approximately contribute to 60% of the serums or the latex constitution. And finally we have free Wesseling, which is very minimal in amount, but it is something you need to know why the free Wesseling is there. I think it is made from the carotenoids and the lipids, and the percentage is very minimal, which is approximately 2 to 5% only. Okay, so usually, okay, here if you can see here at fresh latex, if you do some TSC and the RC analysis, we will find that the RC of natural rubber latex usually around 35%, and the total solid content is 38.6%. But it is very depends on the species of the latex, the seasons of the latex being tapped, and the process of the what we call that preservation that you have been done before you produce the latex concentrates. Here's the illustrations of the latex faces. You have a rubber particle. Because of the rubber particles width is slightly lighter than the serum, so it will be appear on the surface of the latex, although you can mix it thoroughly, but eventually it will be separated, and rubber phase usually appear on the surface of the natural rubber latex. And we have a serum at the middles of the rubber phase with the mixtures of the free Vaseline, very minimal amounts, which is I did mention earlier, about 2 to 5% of the free Vaseline. And finally we have a bottom fraction slightly heavier, so that it will settle down on the bottoms of your latex constitution or your tank. The chemical composition of freshly tapped heavier latex is complex when compared to synthetic lattices. Okay, here in this code, I will focus on the natural rubber latex. On the synthetic lattices will be covered in other codes, which is you will learn other types of synthetic latex and rubbers. Okay. Being a natural product, the composition of fresh latex varies between the wide limits. Heavier latex content of rubber and non-rubber constituents, and then the rubber hydrocarbon particle comprise of 25 up to 45% of latex system. Okay, but the hydrocarbon particle might be increase up to 60% with a certain process. We call that latex concentration process. Okay, and then the non-rubber substance such as protein, carbohydrates, other organic and inorganic constituent constitute only a small percentage of latex system. Most of the constituent is a serum, up to 60%. The protein content natural rubber latex varied up to 1 to 1.8%, and it depends on the this is the factor that contributes on the protein content in natural rubber latex. The first one is the genetic. The types of seeds that being planted in your field, so that it produce varied amounts of protein. Same goes to the chemical that being used, metabolic makeups of the rubber tree itself, the fertilizer that being used, or the types of soil composition that you plant your rubber tree. And then we go to the 1.2, the classification types of NR product. The natural latex is usually converted into two major types of raw material from which product are made. Okay, this is not the process of making, it's not producing the final goods yet. It further divided into a solid dry rubber, and the other one is liquid latex concentrate. Okay, but mainly in this code, I will focus on the manufacturing and products made from liquid latex concentrate. But I will show some of the comparisons of dry rubber products, solid dry rubber product, and liquid latex concentrate products. Okay, for solid dry rubber is produced by different routes, which this raw material is available in the forms of solid bales. I think most of you already know about the rubber bale. In Malaysia, we know as SMR, or Standard Malaysian Rubber Grades, and also a rubber sheet example as rib smoke sheet RSS grades used in production of NR dry rubber products. Okay, this is the production lines for solid dry rubber. It starts from free latex, and the collection we put some anticoagulant to prevent from coagulation, and receptions. We go to bulking. Before bulking, we do some sieving to remove any impurities. And the bulking process involves additions of chemicals to make it more stable. And then in order to make a product or dry rubber products, we will coagulate your free latex, and we add acid to promote a coagulation, and Coagulated rubber will then go to crushing process, crimping, fine side reaction, and drying before it turns to rubber crumb, and we press it to a rubber bale, and the rubber bale goes to the packing before packing, and before shipping it will go some tasting, and if it pass certain criteria and that SMR standards, so it can be exports. Okay, this is the illustration, some of the product made from the SMR, standard nation rubber grade, or we call the dry rubber. From the SMR 10, we can produce hard rubber products such as rubber boots, rubber hose, tires. Most industry, huge industry that use dry rubber product is tire manufacturers. Other than that, we have some rubber tools and equipment that require flexing and strength. Okay. Other than that, for a natural rubber latex product, mainly we produce a very thin product or deep product such as balloon, glove, condoms, and some of the product we produce slightly thicker and large articles such as latex bags. If you know some of the well-known product made from latex bag is brand Geta, I think. You can search in the internet the Geta products. And then what is latex concentrates? Okay, this is the ideas of this PST221. Okay, the initially a few slides before this, I did mention about the introductions of the latex concentrate, what is latex and so on. So here is actually what we will learn for PST221. Latex concentrate is a starting material for NR latex product. So bear in mind, before you produce any latex products, you need to produce a latex concentrate. Okay, most of the latex product produced from latex concentrate. Some of the product might probably can be used from natural rubber latex, but the quality is comparable. It can be compared with the latex concentrate. Okay, for the preparation of liquid latex concentrate, latex collected from the tree is concentrated generally by centrifugations to remove part of unwanted serums. Okay, this concentrates the rubber contents of about 60%. Okay, previously I did mention that dry rubber content of rubber hydrocarbon RHC contains from 35% or 30 to 35% of the latex constituent, and 60% is serum. But here the process of concentration converted, we reduce the serum and we increase the numbers of rubber content up to 60% in order to be recognized as a latex concentrate, and before it ready to be used for latex concentrate products. Okay. NR latex is preserved with ammonia to prevent bacterial growth when harvested from tree and again after centrifugation. Okay, here previously I did mention from last semester code PST104, I did mention about how you preserve natural rubber latex after you harvest. Okay, so after you harvest, you will use this preserved natural rubber latex and will undergo to latex concentrate process, which is the centrifugation process. And after you produce concentrated latex, you will add again anticoagulants, or in this case ammonia, so that you can prevent it from coagulation, because during the concentration process you not only remove the serum or water contents in the rubber latex, but you also remove significant amounts of ammonia that been used preserving the natural rubber latex. Okay, this is some illustration and the process of centrifugation process. Okay, initially the fresh latex, I did mention about 35% of dry rubber content. When it undergo the centrifugation process or using the centrifuge machine, it will convert the concentrated latex with 60% of DRC. So we reduce the serum or the water content in a latex, so we increase significantly the dry rubber content up to 60%. Latex concentrates are mixed with various compound chemicals before being processed into a glove, condoms, balloon, catheters, baby suitors, or dental dams. The production methods may involve dipping polymer into a latex, forming into a foams or extrusion into a latex threads. So each of the product in our industry or our daily life require different strengths, different properties. So due to this reason, different compounding chemical will be used to produce different products. So here we will learn how to produce a latex concentrate, how to preserve it, so that it is suitable to be used for specific industry in manufacturing, such as a glove, condom, balloon, catheters, baby suitor, and dental dams. Okay. I would love to remind you, most of the latex products, okay, it is made from latex dipped goods. So it involves of dippings of the former into a latex. That's why you need to control the concentration of the rubber, so that during the dipping, so you can pick up a significant amount of rubber, so you will produce a very good product and very even thickness of the product. For example, the glove. So if you use a very low viscous latex compound, it will pick up very thin layers of glove. Whereas if you use the slightly viscous, okay, ataupun latex yang pekat, okay, viscous, when you dip your former, acuan awak tu, so it will produce slightly thicker glove. So it depends on the concentrations and the viscosities of your latex that been produced earlier. For deep product, former or mold of the desired shapes deep into a compounded latex to enable a deposition of thin films of latex. Okay, initially we try to produce a latex glove which is very thin, so that it is more comfortable to be used, so that whenever you handle something, components or parts, you can have a sense or feelings of touching of the object. But certain cases, you might want to have a very thick glove, so that it can protect your hands from cutting, from corrosions of the chemical, the harsh chemical and so on, and prevent from interaction with the heat. So here, the process might involve with multiple dipping, so that you can deposit slightly thicker films of latex on the former. Okay, other than that, it's not only about dipping product. It's also being used for extrusion machine. Some of the continuous product, for example, the rubber threads, it is made from the extrusion machine. So this natural rubber latex or concentrated latex will be extruded via extrusion machine to produce a continuous product. Okay. Latex threads are prepared by continuous extrusion of suitable compounded latex concentrate through appropriate nozzles of certain diameter into a bath of latex coagulant. So whenever you need to control the viscosities of the latex, when you put your concentrated latex in the extrusion machine, you extrude the concentrated latex, go through the nozzle, the extruded parts will go through the latex coagulant bath, so that it will coagulate and it will retain its shapes. The latex is usually an aqueous solution of acetic acid of appropriate concentration, the extruded thread are washed, cured, dry, and lubricated. This is some of the illustration of rubber thread being mentioned earlier. Some of the product require a rubber thread. For example, this rubber band. Some of in our clothing, if you can see that, especially on pants, so that it made from natural rubber latex, or some of the material made from spandex also embedded with some latex, so that it more flexible and stretchable. Some of the clothing are meant to be stretchable, so they introduce some of the latex material so that it's more stretchable and fit to your body. The foams products, the process usually involve incorporation of air into a compounded latex concentrate, usually with the use of foamer. Okay, previously I did mention about the deep product of glove, the thread products of the rubber threads, and then here is the foam product. Foam product is also well known with the rubber natural rubber latex or concentrated latex. This process involves of incorporation of air into a compounded latex concentrate, and it is usually achieved by using a foamer. So we add on a foamer into latex concentrate, and during the process it will release the gas and it will produce a porosity into rubber latex concentrate products. Okay, the gelling agent is then introduced and the foam latex is allowed to gel in mold. Okay, the gelling agent to prevent the bubbles or the former release gas on the surface of the concentrated latex, so the trapped gases will produce a porosity, and eventually curing occur at 100 degrees Celsius, and which produce what we call the spongy like product because of the porosity, the entrapped gas on the concentrated latex, and the product will be washed and dry so that before it can be used. Okay, the illustration of the image here is the latex bed. It's made from concentrated latex and some introductions of the foamer, and the foamer size up to 215 micrometer. Here, some of you might questioning why natural latex. Okay, and our product has been used preferentially worldwide for many years because of very good physical properties of the natural rubber elastomer. Although we have a synthetic rubber elastomer, but the natural rubber latex have unique properties. This is the particularly for the latex dips products such as glove, condoms, which are known for their excellent barrier protection against microorganisms, including bacteria and viruses, as well as infectious fluid. So because of these outstanding properties, natural rubber latex still being used in the manufacturing of these types of products. Okay, I think that's all for this chapter. Before I end off this session, this is the wise word for today. I always say to students, if you study to remember, you will forget. But if you study to understand, you will remember. So in order you to understand, you need to read a lot, and you may ask a question regarding your limitation of knowledge, so that you can grow wiser and you can understand what you learn from time to time. Okay, that's all from me for this chapter. If you have any question, feel free to contact me. You can we will have a discussion session immediately, maybe within few days after I release this video. So I hope to see you soon. By then, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and take care of yourself. Goodbye.